Let's start sitting in a nice comfortable seat of your choice. I'll sit in hero's pose with my knees together, my big toes to touch behind me, allowing the heels to fall left to right. My recommendation is to sit into whatever position feels good for you. And just start to notice your breath. Start to drop in, let go of the day thus far, and just notice how you feel. Positioning the head over heart, heart over pelvis. Start to lift the shoulders up toward the ears on an inhale, and then on an exhale, just drop them down. Look over to the right, just gently warming up the neck, and then look over to the left. You might tap into your ujjayi breathing, your ocean breath, lifting the shoulders up toward the ears. On an exhale, drop the shoulders, allowing the shoulder blades to slide down the back, away from the ears. Inhale the arms up over the head, allowing the pinkies to come forward. And then bend the elbows, cactus the arms, opening the chest. On an inhale, send those arms back up over the head, float them down, and then we're going to come to our backs. Cross the ankles behind you, slide the feet forward, bend the knees, and just start to roll down onto your back. Once you're on your back, bend the knees, press all 4 points of the feet into the earth, and allow the fingertips to point directly behind the heels. Start to press into your feet, and on an inhale, curl the tailbone up toward the ceiling, coming into bridge pose, allowing the chest to come toward the chin. Allow the chin to stay pointed up toward the ceiling so you don't move the head at all. Come back down to the floor, and then this time press into all 4 points of the feet. Inhale those arms up over the head as you come into your bridge pose, keeping the head perfectly still. On an exhale, we're going to bring it all the way back down. One more time. Inhale, sending those arms up over the head, coming into your bridge pose. On an exhale, you're going to float those hands back up over the head as you lower the pelvis back down, allowing the tailbone to ground into the earth. Press into that left foot, interlace the fingers behind the right shin, and just bring that knee up toward the armpit, coming into a half happy baby, just grabbing onto the outside of that right foot, and then cactusing the left elbow. Really finding a stretch in that shoulder, finding your breath, noticing your inhalations, your exhalations, and cross that right ankle over the left thigh. Interlace the fingers behind the left thigh. Bring the left shin parallel with the earth. Flex into the left toes, flex into the right toes. Bring that left foot back down to the earth, followed by the right foot. Grounding that tailbone into the earth. Notice your breath. This time we're going to come into our half happy baby by grabbing onto the outside of the left foot, sending that knee up toward the armpit, and then bending that right elbow, cactusing the arm. Start to notice your breath. And then coming into that figure 4 on this side like we did on the other side, cross that left ankle over the right thigh, interlace the fingers behind the right thigh. Again, bring that right shin parallel with the earth, flexing into both feet, allowing the tailbone to ground into the earth, noticing your breath, warming up the hips. Bring that right foot back down to the earth, followed by the left foot, and then send the knees into the palms. We're going to roll it up nice and slow, coming to a seat in the middle of our yoga mats. Heel-toeing the feet about as wide as the yoga mat. Start to windshield wiper the knees so you can really feel that rotation where the femur connects to the hip socket. It'll feel different for everybody, but it really gives you a chance to explore the mobility in your hip joints. After a few breaths, let's come to a modified boat pose, bringing the palms underneath the thighs, and then pulling the belly button in toward the spine, allowing the shoulders to slide away from the ears. You might play with bringing the shins parallel to the earth. You might bring the fingertips to extend toward the toes. Just really warming up the muscles of the abdominal wall. Bring the palms back behind the thighs just to stabilize yourself. And then maybe extend the fingertips toward the toes. Notice your breath. Start to retrograde that movement coming out of Navasana boat pose. And we're going to come into this wide angle seated pose. So you don't have to bring the feet really wide. Just try to sit in a place that feels comfortable to you. Allowing the hips to gently open, interlacing the hands behind your back, extend the knuckles toward the tailbone, opening the chest, and then allowing the shoulders to relax away from the ears. Notice how it feels to open the chest as you're opening the hips simultaneously. It's kind of a counterbalance. And then send those arms up over the head. Inhale, noticing your alignment. We're going to come into tabletop. So bringing the knees underneath the hips, palms underneath the shoulders. Pull that belly button in toward the spine. Inhale, drop the belly, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, tucking that tailbone. Couple more of these. Inhale to open the chest, pressing into all 10 fingerprints, and then exhaling to round the spine. Let's do that one more time. Nice big deep inhale, and then exhale. Preparing for Anahatasana literally means heart-melting pose. Bring the elbows to where the palms were, fingertips pointing up toward the top of the mat, knees underneath the hips. Slide those palms toward the top of the mat, and then melt the heart down toward the floor. Just really allowing that chest to open, allowing the tailbone to point toward the ceiling, finding your breath, really finding that bend in the thoracic part of the spine. On an inhale, you'll start to come back into table pose, tucking the toes under, and then lifting the hips up to your first downward facing dog of the practice. Pressing all 10 fingerprints into the floor, allowing the shoulders to melt away from the ears, maybe pedaling it out, sending the heart toward the shins. Just noticing how you feel. Taking a few breaths, bending the knees. When you're ready, start to send the gaze up toward the top of the mat, bend the knees, and take a nice slow walk up to the top of the mat, bringing the feet about hip-width apart into Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back, palms to thighs. Exhale, fold. Send those arms up overhead, come to high mountain pose. And then bend the elbows, cactus the arms, open the chest. Exhale, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back, making a number 7 with the body. Exhale, Uttanasana, step it back, plank pose. Pulling that belly button in toward the spine, lower the knees, come to the tops of the feet, bring the elbows to where the palms were, and then slide the heart between the biceps, coming into a Sphinx pose. Placing the palms where the elbows were, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, downward facing dog, pedal it out, find your breath. Inhale, look toward the top of the mat, walk it up to the top of the mat into Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend the knees, send those arms up over the head, bend the elbows, cactus the arms, open the chest, slight back bend here. Inhale, send those arms back up over the head, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Exhale, plant the palms, step it back, find plank. You can drop the knees into half plank or stay in full plank, yogi's choice. Exhale, bend the elbows, chaturanga or belly to cobra, yogi's choice. Whatever you choose, we'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding our breath, pedaling it out. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Send the gaze up toward the top of the mat, bend the knees, and walk it up to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Float the arms up, high mountain. Bend the elbows, cactus the arms, slight back bend. Exhale, hinge at the hips, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Step it back to plank or half plank, yogi's choice. Find belly to cobra or chaturanga to up dog. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, lift the hips. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding your breath, pedaling it out. Ground into that left foot. Float the right leg into three-legged dog. Bend the right knee. Draw some circles with the knee one way, and then reverse the circles the other way. Extend through that right foot, squaring off the hips, bending the knee, sending the knee toward the chest. Go ahead and step it up into a lunge, bringing both hands to the inside of the right foot. Drop that left knee, swivel the left foot behind you, walk it to the back of your mat, and then allowing the palm to ground into the earth directly under the shoulder. Lift that right arm toward the ceiling into half plank. Walk it forward toward the top of your mat, coming back into your lunge. Inhale, send that right arm up toward the ceiling, finding a nice big twist. Exhale, coming back into your lunge. Inhale, send those arms up overhead, Anjaneyasana. Bring that right hand to the hip. Find a nice big side stretch toward the right, opening up through that left side. Inhale, find length, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, fold. Coming into a full lunge, step it back, find plank. Move through a flow, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog, yogi's choice. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, lifting the hips, finding your breath. This time we'll ground into the right foot, sliding that left foot up behind you, bending the knee, drawing some circles with the knee one way, and then finding the circles the other way. Finding your breath, extending through that left leg once more, bend the knee, send the knee up toward the chest, step it up into your lunge, bringing the hands to the inside of the left foot this time, swivel that right foot toward the side of your mat, coming into your modified side plank. Inhale. Exhale, float that left arm down, walk it toward the top of your mat. Coming back into your lunge, inhale that left arm up toward the ceiling, find your twist. Then exhale, float that arm back down. Inhale into Anjaneyasana. floating those arms up toward the ceiling, bringing that left hand to your left hip, finding a stretch on the right side, finding lift in the rib cage. Coming back into Anjaneyasana, float those hands back down to frame the left foot. Pick that right knee up behind you, finding plank, moving through your vinyasa, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog, table to child's pose, yogi's choice. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding your breath. Pedal it out, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, look up toward the top of your mat, take a nice slow walk into Uttanasana, forward fold, feet hip width apart. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand all the way up into high mountain pose. Bend the elbows, cactus the arms, open the chest. Bring the palms to touch overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, notice how you feel. Drop the hands down to the sides, roll the shoulders back. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Notice how you feel. Ground all 4 points of the feet into the earth. Tuck the pelvis slightly. Inhale. Send the arms up overhead. Bend the knees. Hinge at the hips. Forward fold. Uttanasana. Inhale. Find length. Half lift. Exhale. Fold. Step it back to plank. Move through your flow. Belly to cobra. Chaturanga to up dog. Table to child's pose. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, pedaling it out. Slide that right foot up behind you, bend the knee, draw some circles with the knee one way and then the other way. Float that right foot up behind you, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, square off the hips, send the knee up toward the chest, step it up. Drop that left knee behind you, bring the hands to the inside of the right foot, walk it to the back of your mat. Come into your modified side plank, extending the right fingertips up toward the ceiling, and then float the left arm up overhead, bringing the right hand to the right leg into gate pose. Retrograde the movement, walk it up to the top of your mat, coming back into your lunge. Inhale, pick that left knee up off the ground, extend the right fingertips up toward the ceiling, big twist. On an exhale, float that right hand back down. This time, stay in the high lunge. Inhale those arms up overhead, crescent lunge. Bringing that left knee directly over the left ankle. Bend the elbows, cactus the arms, open the chest. Exhale, bend the elbows, cactus the arms. We'll do this 3 times. Float the arms up overhead and then bend the elbows, open the chest one last time, coming back into your crescent lunge. And then exhale, bring that right hand to the hip, find a nice big stretch on the left side. Inhale, come back up to your crescent lunge. Exhale, float those arms toward where the wall would meet the ceiling, and then interlace the hands behind you, bringing the knuckles in line with the tailbone, open the chest, keeping the back of the neck nice and long, keeping that right knee over the right ankle, nice flat back. Inhale, come into chair pose, bringing the left foot to meet the right foot, and then stand into high mountain pose, bring the palms together to touch. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, float the arms up overhead. Exhale, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, fold. Step it back into plank. Find your flow, yogi's choice, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog, table to child's pose, yogi's choice. We'll all meet in downward facing dog, finding our breath, grounding through that right foot. Float that left leg into three-legged dog, bend the knee, draw circles with that knee, opening up the hip. Inhale, extend that left leg into three-legged dog, bend the left knee, send the left knee toward the chest, step it up, bringing those palms to the inside of the left foot. Drop that right knee behind you, swivel the right foot toward the back long side of the mat, coming into your modified side plank. And then lifting through the left side body, bring the left hand to the thigh, floating that right arm up toward the ceiling, gate pose. Retrograde that movement, walking those hands back up toward the top of your mat, coming into your lunge, floating the left arm up overhead, coming into your nice big twist, opening up that front part of the body, and then inhaling those arms up overhead into your crescent lunge, keeping that left knee aligned over the left ankle. Open the chest, cactus the arms. Inhale, float those arms back up overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms, opening the chest. One more time. Inhale, float the arms up overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms. On an inhale, bring those fingertips back up toward the ceiling, and then bring the left hand to the left hip, finding a nice big stretch on the right side of the body. Inhale, both arms up overhead. Exhale, interlace the hands behind the back, allowing the knuckles to be guided toward the direction of the tailbone, and a nice straight line from the tip of the tailbone to the top of the head, keeping the back of the neck nice and long, leaning forward, and then pressing into that right foot, coming into chair pose. Utkatasana. Inhale, standing into high mountain. Press the palms together. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, high mountain pose. Send the arms left to right, hands up over the head. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find length, flat back. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Step it back to plank. Find your flow, belly to cobra, chaturanga to up dog, table to child's pose. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Finding our breath. And then bringing the big toes together to touch, bringing the knees as wide as the yoga mat. Go ahead and set it back toward the heels. Extended child's pose. On an inhale, come back up through table. Find your breath. Tuck the toes under. Walk it into a forward fold Uttanasana, and then roll it up nice and slow. We're going to come into Natarajanasana, so pressing into all 4 points of that right foot. Bring that left hand out to your side, bend the left knee, pick your left foot up from the inside of that left foot, bringing the knees together, and then floating that left arm up overhead, bicep in line with the ear. If you want, you can start to press into that left hand coming into Natarajanasana, finding that counterbalance, extending the right fingertips forward, choosing something to look at on the floor in front of you, your drishti gaze, your focal point. Inhale, come back to where you started. Exhale, bring that right arm back down to your side. Drop that left foot, shake it out, find your breath. Moving to the other side, grab the inside of that right foot with your right hand, bringing the knees together. Send that left arm up in the air. And then if you want to, start to press that right foot into the right palm while sending the left fingertips forward, finding that counterbalance, working to square off the hips, pulling that belly button in toward the spine, allowing that right shoulder to really stretch toward the back ankle. And then coming back to bringing that right knee to touch the left knee. Bring the left arm down. Go ahead and drop the right foot to meet the left foot. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. Find your breath. Let's come into a wide angle standing pose. Send the arms up overhead and then bend the knees, hinge at the hips, bring those palms underneath the shoulders. Bring the left hand underneath the shoulder, send the right fingertips up toward the ceiling. And then replace that left palm with the right palm, sweep the left palm up, fingertips toward the ceiling, nice big twist. And then coming in for this wide angle forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. Send those palms in line with the arches of the feet, allowing the elbows to point straight back behind you toward the wall, finding kind of a 90-degree angle between your forearms and your biceps. Walk the palms back up to come underneath the shoulders, bring the hands to the hips, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, go ahead and stand. Come into mountain pose, take a breath, notice how you feel. Ground into all 4 points of your feet. Send those arms up overhead, palms to touch, forward fold. Let's go ahead and come into a seat. Going to find a forward fold here, bringing the feet to extend toward the top of the mat. Send the arms up overhead. Find a bend in the knees, and then if you want, you can wrap your peace fingers around your big toes, bending the knees and maybe walking the hips back a little bit. You never have to straighten out the knees here. You just want to find a nice stretch in the backs of the legs, but not necessarily in the backs of the knees. Flex through the toes, and hopefully you're also able to find a nice big stretch in the lower back, in the lumbar and thoracic part of the spine. Go ahead and come up nice and slow, coming back into tabletop, and then moving into Ustrasana or camel pose. Bring those hands to the lower back, pull that belly button in toward the spine, and then allow the hips to align directly over the knees. Pull that heart forward, open the chest, bring those elbows to about a 90-degree angle, and send your gaze up toward the ceiling, and just stay there. If you feel like that's too easy and you want to deepen the pose, you can always bring those palms to the heels. I prefer to keep my palms on the lower back just for more stability. When you're ready, we're going to melt into child's pose, Balasana. Take a moment just to notice how you feel. And then when you're ready, pressing into the backs of the feet, cross the ankles behind you, coming onto our backs. Bring the palms to the knees, and then roll it back nice and slow. Interlace the fingers around that right calf, flex into both feet, bringing the knee toward the armpit, and then grabbing that right knee with the left hand, allowing the right knee to travel toward the left side of the body, cactusing the right elbow and looking toward the right, coming into a nice gentle twist, finding your breath. When you're ready, you can interlace the fingers, bringing that right knee back to center, and then allowing the right foot to rest on the ground. Interlace the fingers around that left shin, bringing the left knee toward the armpit, finding your breath. When you're ready, allow that left knee to travel toward the right, cactusing that left elbow, looking toward the left, finding that nice gentle twist, finding your breath, just noticing how you feel. We're going to bring that right knee back to center, interlacing the fingers. And then allowing the knees to float up toward the palms, bringing the feet off the earth. Draw some circles with the knees, just giving yourselves a little bit of a massage on the lower back. And then extending those feet toward the top of the yoga mat, coming in for Shavasana, our final resting pose. Finding your breath, noticing how you feel. Notice the belly rise and fall with each inhalation and exhalation. Feeling free to close the eyes if you'd like. And just settling into a natural breathing pattern that feels good to you. Maybe coming into some intentional relaxation, noticing that space between the eyebrows, noticing if it's nice and relaxed, noticing your jaw, if it's relaxed, the shoulders relaxing toward the earth, as well as the hips, allowing the toes to fall left to right, and just breathing. You might start to lengthen the inhalations and exhalations. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingers, find a nice big stretch. Bring the knees up toward the chest. And then allow the knees to fall over to the right, stacking the hips, stacking the knees, pressing up into a nice comfortable seat of your choice. Finding your breath, noticing how you feel, if anything's changed, if anything's shifted. When you're ready, we'll take one more nice big deep breath, spreading the arms left to right, bringing the palms to touch overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Thank you for making it to your mat to practice yoga with me. I hope you found a little bit of peace and balance to carry you through the rest of your day.